In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Lock and load. It's time to load up on some intellectual ammunition with Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. It doesn't matter if you learn to shoot with Daniel Boone or you're brand new. You're welcome here. This is the original national talk show about guns, and Tom Gresham is your guide through the maze of ballistics and politics. So grab your phone and call in right now, 866-825-5486, or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
You know, I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
All right, here is your chance to weigh in. We've been talking for the last half hour about the Las Vegas shooting. Joe Wilcox, good guy, gets involved, ended up getting murdered as a result of intervening. So we're going to have a guest on here for a few minutes, but we've got open lines waiting for you. If you'd like to get in line for this or anything else, now's your time to call, 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. When would you get involved? When would you intervene? What criteria would you use? When would you just grab your family and beat feet? I'd like to know how you calculate all of that. All right, we know that we have more shooters than ever in the country. We know that we have more gun owners than we've ever had in the country. I don't know if anybody knows exactly, but we're about to find out. And we know that we have hunters all over the country. One of the questions that we've kind of run up against occasionally is, what's the impact of that? Not social impact, but actual real dollars economic impact. And the folks at the National Shooting Sports Foundation, they run down that kind of thing. And so we're joined right now by my friend Bill Brassard from the NSSF. Hey, Bill, how are you?
I'm good, Tom. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, absolutely. Now, the National Shooting Sports Foundation is the trade association of gun makers, people who make guns, ammo, holsters, all the accessories, optics, all that stuff in the gun world, right?
That's correct. We have about 10,000 member companies and also some individuals as well.
Okay, and by the way, if you are a gun store, you need to belong to NSSF. I can just tell you that, because you can belong as a gun store dealer, right?
You can. Gun stores, shooting ranges, wholesalers, manufacturers, and even the media. But yes, particularly gun stores, we have a lot of great services that through the power of numbers we can help provide to very small businesses that they could not get anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, anything from insurance to just pure information, how to run your business, how to make money, how to maximize your profit, how to manage your liability, how to put together a shoot, first shot's kind of a deal, anything like that. Just basically how to do better at what you do.
Yeah, exactly. All those professional development opportunities, and many of them are, run by former gun store owners and other marketing experts in the field. As a matter of fact, we actually have a sort of a classroom that goes on the road. It's called SHOT Show University. It started out at our shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade show, and now it became so popular there we couldn't hold the number of retailers that wanted to attend. So we're actually bringing it to various locations around the country. It's always sold out because the information is really so good, and it's information that every retailer can use to, as you say, to make more money, to better their business, to be more customer friendly.
All right, so NSSF just announced this big study, and we've talked about this in the past, and kind of like, okay, where are the dollars? How much does shooting and hunting contribute to the economy? But over the last, 4 or 5 years, our numbers have grown incredibly. So where are we now? What did you guys find out?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to track that down for a couple of years, and we issued 2 reports within the last 18 months or so, one of them called Target Shooting in America and the other one called Hunting in America, to track the size and where hunters and shooters are spending their money and what that expenditure supports. Well, the demand for that information was so great, and people wanted to know what the combined impact of spending by target shooters and hunters were. And so we pulled those 2 reports together, and we came up with a report that really the numbers are pretty astounding, actually. In fact, that spending by American sportsmen and sportswomen, hunters and target shooters, results in a total economic impact of $110 billion. That's a billion with a B, dollars to the American economy. So, and we ask, why do hunters really want to, and target shooters want to know about the economics of their hobby? Well, there's a good reason to do that. You should be aware of the size of the industry and the sports that you're involved with, because, there's a lot of folks out there saying, hey, you're a minority or
right,
you're a fringe,
right.
but you're really not. You have a powerful impact on the economy of the country, and that goes to small businesses and large businesses and in towns all across this country.
Now, is that $110 billion annually?
It is annually. That's exactly right. $110 billion. And
wow.
and that kind of expenditure, when you think about it, supports one heck of a lot of jobs. And we actually nailed down the jobs number as well.
Okay.
To 866,000 jobs are supported by hunting and target shooting. And because when numbers get big like that, whether it's in the billions or even hundreds of thousands, they're hard to wrap your mind around. So in the report, we put some comparisons together. So those 866,000 jobs, if hunters and target shooters were employers, it would rank 7th as the 7th largest employer in the world, ahead of IBM or McDonald's. So,
wow.
It's a big impact. It really is.
And you also, if I remember when I saw this, you break down some numbers by states also. You have information about how much is spent.
We do, and that's why I say all hunters and target shooters should be aware about that, because it's just not a national number. You can really come up with a state figure for the impact of your expenditures, the number of jobs, and the taxes that are paid by the workers who benefit from those expenditures. And,
well, that's important when you're talking to a legislator or somebody who's wanting to start doing some restrictions on gun owners, some shooters, hunters, and you come back. One thing that all politicians understand is jobs. When you come in and talk to them about jobs, you have a serious piece of leverage there.
There's no question about it. So when you look at a state like Texas, which we obviously know that they're very gun-friendly there, but the numbers are so big. For example, in Texas, hunters and shooters generate $5.1 billion in economic activity. That's a heck of a lot of money. And even in the smaller states, you're talking, hundreds of millions of dollars up to $1 billion. So, it's not something to be taken lightly by any politician.
And this isn't even talking about the contributions that hunters and shooters make to conservation through the excise tax dollars.
Well, that's right, and that's actually gotten a big boost in the last 5 years or so, because there are so many new gun owners out there, and they're not only purchasing guns, but they're purchasing ammunition, as we all know. It's difficult to get ammunition still in some places, but what that's done, because of the 11% excise tax on long guns and ammunition, it's driven the excise tax collections to record highs, and of course all of that money is collected for conservation purposes and for hunter safety purposes, and gets distributed back to each and every state's Fish and Wildlife Agency, and ultimately benefits conservation, habitat, and hunters and shooters. So, yes, the good fortune of the industry and firearm sales is being spread nationwide.
All right, so can people get a hold of this? Can they get a copy of this report?
Yeah, and I would encourage them to do so, not just this report, but the other two specific reports, which get into more detail about target shooting and hunting, but they can all be found on the NSSF website at nssf.org/research.
Oh, okay. nssf.org/research, and you can see, in fact, I just went there. You got a lot of reports there, a lot of research you guys have done.
We do. Whether it's on safety or on participation or on economic impact, there's tons of stuff there. If you enjoy numbers and statistics, you can spend a while on that particular.
Or if you like to write letters to the editor, or if you want to talk to your legislators and you want to have intellectual ammunition, something that'll back up your arguments, this is where you go for that.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what we try to impress upon gun owners, is to arm themselves with the facts, because there's a lot of rhetoric out there, a lot of misrepresentation of hunters and shooters and what we do and about the equipment that we use. So we want to push back against that with the facts, and you can find that at nssf.org/research.
There you go. They've even got one on the modern sporting rifle there, I saw. That one's worthwhile. Bill, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I always tell people I cannot recommend NSSF enough, whether you're an individual or a store or in the business or you just want to use the information. Check it out, nssf.org. Bill Brassard, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, yeah, you take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. What's on your mind? How do we get rust off of a gun? Would you get involved if you saw something going on? You had your concealed carry permit with you. And also, we're looking for range reports. What'd you take out? What'd you shoot? What gun are you liking these days? 866-TALK-GUN.
What's that?
It's my Trijicon.
What's a Trijicon?
Only the best rifle scope in the world.
Says who?
How about the U.S. Marine Corps, Special Forces, Navy SEALs? You heard of these guys?
Sure.
Well, they're all using Trijicons.
Let me see it. Wow, this is really sharp.
And a lot of professional hunters are using Trijicon, too. You probably caught it on some TV and radio shows.
Yeah, I have heard some of them swear by their Trijicon.
I swear by it.
I could have been a Navy SEAL.
Well, the closest you're going to get now is buying a Trijicon.
Hey.
Trijicon is the brand of rifle scopes that more and more hunters are swearing by. That's because every Trijicon is handcrafted using the finest optic materials. The bright aiming point can guarantee you a great hunt from dawn to dusk. Get your Trijicon at a dealer near you or visit them on the web at Trijicon.com. That's TRIJICON.com. Trijicon. Brilliant aiming solutions.
In my world, there are no helpless victims. There is no weaker sex. In my world, pain comes from fear, and fear is not an option. But my world is just like yours, only different how I choose to defend myself.
Introducing the Carry On series from Taurus, the ultimate collection of concealed carry firearms designed for discreet, reliable personal protection. Visit TaurusUSA.com to learn more.
Carry On.
Federal Premium Ammunition revolutionized turkey hunting with the innovative Flight Control Wad, giving you tighter patterns for more pellets on target. Choose between copper-plated lead or the Megadent Shot Heavyweight. Try the number 7 Heavyweight for maximum pellet count and bone-crushing performance. Now available in 10 and 20 gauge. Federal Premium Ammunition. Every shot counts.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
All right, back with the 866 Talk Gun. Get you in here. Line 3, Stephen is with us out of Kathleen, Georgia. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, good afternoon. There was a fellow called in the first hour asking about using vinegar to take rust off of metal.
Right.
Yes, white vinegar, it works really good, but it works really slow. It takes about 24 hours. And you have to totally degrease the piece of metal. Okay.
Now, do you have to degrease it before you use the vinegar?
Yes.
Okay.
Degrease it, get all the oil and everything off, and put it in there. You have to completely cover the object. If you don't, it makes a heck of a mess.
Okay. So if you had like a pistol or something, you better take the grips off. I would think you want to get anything that's not metal off of there.
Totally disassemble it. Yes.
Okay. So take it down to parts and drop them in the vinegar.
And make sure it's completely covered. And every once in a while go by and turn it around and move it around a little bit, shake it around.
You sound like you've got experience at this.
I've done it many times. It works good. Real good.
Now, let me ask you, what's the level of rust that you've had to work on?
I've had everything from a very light coating of rust to pits 50 thousandths deep.
Ooh. Now, when they're that deep, you've got to do some polishing, right?
I'm sorry?
No? You don't fix the pits? What do you do?
No, it won't fix the pits, but it'll take all the rust out of the pits.
Okay, and now if you've got pits on it, I guess you could refinish it over the pits. It's still going to look like, it's going to look like the pits.
Yes.
So, there you go. You know, when you got holes in your steel, there's not a whole lot you can do other than maybe try to polish them out.
That's right. Now,
all right.
You got to remember, too, it's going to take all the bluing off. Because bluing is just a different kind of rust.
Exactly right. So you're going to be starting over, and you need to get the gun refinished. Stephen, thank you. That's the kind of information we're looking for. We appreciate that, sir. Line 2, Walter is in California. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Tom. Today I'm bringing a range report on my brand new Colt Commander Series 1991. And it's a stainless model. Took it straight to the range the moment I was able to pick it up. And, sir, let me tell you, that is the best shooting gun I've ever owned. It actually shoots better than I can.
Well, you know, I find that most of my guns shoot better than I can. So now this is 45, I take it.
45 ACP, yes.
Okay. Why did you buy this? What was your thinking? What motivated you to get a Colt Commander?
Well, I'd done reviews on my channel of other people's Colts, and finally someone that I went to the range with said, hey, shoot mine, see what you think, because I generally had polymers, and it was love at first shot, let's put it that way. It was excellent. Nothing shoots like one of those 1911s, but the gun was very tight. It was a fairly old Colt, but it was still he kept it in immaculate condition, so I decided right there, I'm going to have one of these for me.
It's actually funny to me that you mentioned that you've been using polymer guns and you shot this and it's love at first shot. We're editing a piece right now for our Gun Talk television show, and I'm talking about the 1911. I said, look, if you grew up on combat Tupperware, plastic guns, you may not understand what a thumb safety is, or you may not understand why we love these guns so much, but I said, if you'll actually take it out and shoot it, I think you'll get it. Do you agree with me, Walter?
Absolutely. There's once like I said, once you've shot one with a more narrow frame and without having the double stack, you get a different feel of the gun. And the gun, because of the 1911 angle on the grip, fits in your hand much better than a lot of the other polymer guns do.
And don't forget the trigger.
Oh, no, there's nothing as smooth as that trigger. No, sir. That is the nicest trigger I've ever had.
Yeah, I tell you, a good 1911 has such a great single-action trigger. You fall in love with it. So, hey, Walter, thank you for the range report. Congratulations on the gun. I understand why you feel the way you do. Thank you, sir. I have several 1911s, and one of the curses of what we do for a living is we get to get in people's guns and shoot them for TV and then send them back. The curse is, that's the good part, the curse is sometimes you find them and you go, I don't know if I can send this one back. And then you're saying, okay, guys, what's the price on this one again? And we just got in a couple of Smith & Wesson 1911s that I think Ryan and I are going to have to arm wrestle over that and figure out who gets to buy those, because they're just, I'm telling you, 1911s are just that's sweet. Line 1, Bill's with us in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Hey, Bill.
Hey, how you doing? Okay. My question is on a Tech 22 Scorpion. Are you familiar with that?
All I know is what it is. I've never even held one in my hands.
Okay, it was a controversial type of weapon going back a few years. I had a firearm FFL for several years, and I bought them for other people that I knew, but I have the opportunity to buy one now if I wanted to. And I understand that there are ejection and extraction problems. So if you're not familiar with it, then I guess you can't answer my question.
Well, I want you to throw the question out there. There's liable to be somebody listening who can help us out, and you just keep listening. So what's the issue? What's your question?
Well, I understand, like I said, that there's probably extraction, ejection problems. I want to know how bad they were, if it is if a different type of ammo would correct that problem. Because it's a fun gun to shoot. I have shot it. Right. And so that's really what I want to know. Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Mosin Nagant, the carbine. I want to know if anybody out there has converted their bolt from the straight to a bent bolt to put on a scope, because it has a great firing range.
You know, it's very interesting to me that for many years you didn't hear people talking about the Mosin Nagant very much. And then all of a sudden, at least it seems to me, that all of a sudden in the last few years, you've got all this interest. What is it that got you thinking about them?
For me, it's not necessarily for hunting. Okay, I have that. Right. It's an old piece. You could call it an antique. There's thousands or millions of them out there, but the ammo right now is available. You know, it's usually steel case, but it's built like a tank. There are several different versions of it, and I see just shooting it. Of course, it kicks like a mule. And you buy the ammo in 440 round tins, like an old ham can, you know. Right. And it's fairly reasonable. You can get it even today, fairly reasonable. There's millions of rounds out there. But you know, for long range shooting, fun shooting, but you really do need a scope, because you can hit targets out there you can't even see. You know? All
right. Here's what we'll do. Let me do this, Bill. I want to throw this out. If it bent the bolt handle on a Mosin Nagant, give us a holler. Let us know how that works out. Or if there's another way of doing a scope on a Mosin Nagant, how did you do it? Also, if you got one of these, let me know why. I'm still scratching my head and looking at this and going, okay, it's typically Russian-made ugly, but it is built heck for stout, that's for sure. And it's got a lot of history, and you can buy them cheap, and the ammo's available. Okay, I get it. Lots of good reasons. Also, looking for your range reports. And if you know anything about a Tech 22 Scorpion, help us out there. Also wondering, what is your criteria? How have you set yourself up? When or if will you get involved if something's going on?
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
Well, this is interesting. In the Chicago Tribune, flood of lawsuits over concealed carry denials. Turns out that the review board, people are applying for the carry permits, the review board is turning down hundreds of people. People who have no criminal record of any kind, no reason to be denied, maybe thinking it's misplaced or it's a mistaken identity, it's the wrong person or something. And the problem is they won't tell you why you're denied. The police can't tell you why you're denied. The decisions are made behind closed doors. The records are kept secret. And the only way that you can appeal this is to file a lawsuit. So Chicago, having been beaten down by the Supreme Court, who said, no, a handgun ban in Chicago is unconstitutional, i.e. illegal. You have to fix that. That was the McDonald decision. Chicago says, well, we'll just make it as hard as we can. And we're going to make it hard for you to have a gun store. And we're going to make it hard for you to have a shooting range. And we're going to deny as many permits as possible. And we're not going to tell you why. And we're not going to tell you, who does it. You're just going to have to sue us. You'll have to come up with the money to sue us. They just keep on, don't they? They just keep on. Line 2. Carl is in Atlanta, Texas. Hello, Carl.
Tom, last week you were talking about that someone had called in about that Russian-made ammunition that had the steel casings and the steel part. And he said it was zinc-plated, and you said it would provide some lubricity. Well, that may be true, but the main reason is rust prevention, especially if you've been handling these shells and maybe hands are sweaty or whatever. It's gonna this clean steel is going to rust like crazy. So most of the time when zinc is on steel is for rust prevent, like bolts or anything else.
Well, that
like
makes
nuts
sense
and bolts.
they do. Around salt water, you'll find there's an awful lot of stuff that's zinc plated to protect it from corrosion.
And chemical plants.
Oh, okay. Well, and the other thing, Carl, it occurs to me is that, you probably know this, some people have, I've heard it called poison fingers, where for some of us, and I'm one of those people, the oil in our fingers has more acid or something in it. I mean, somebody else could touch a gun, it doesn't affect it. If I touch it, and if I don't wipe it off with some kind of oil or something, it's going to create rust spots.
Yeah, you admit your rust has salt. I mean, sweat has salt in it, and that's probably what it's for. That zinc plating.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I didn't know that, but now I just learned something. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that call. Mike's on line 3. He's in White Village, Texas. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tom. How are you doing today?
I am good. You're thinking about this Target case kind of the same way I am. What's on your mind?
Well, I agree with you with the people carrying open carry that they're not helping the cause here for us any. And but I've always wondered if those people weren't people being given a little of that green stuff to do what they're doing by maybe the anti-gun associations.
You think maybe this is actually enemy action and they're paying these guys to carry their AKs into stores so then the anti-gunners can then go to the stores and demand a statement, a no-guns type statement?
That's correct. In other words, stir up the situation of where people become fearful and therefore, get onto their side of the issue.
You're not the first person to think of that. I've thought that. I've had it suggested to me. I don't have any indication that that's true, and yet I know that there's enough money there. I mean, look, the Moms Demand Action is a Bloomberg-funded group. Bloomberg said he is going to give $50 million to push gun bans in the United States, to push for gun control. So he created this Every Town for Gun Safety and the Moms Demand Action. Those are two Bloomberg groups that just came out because they found out that the mayors against illegal guns didn't work so well because we keep throwing those guys in prison, all those mayors. Ray Nagant, former mayor of New Orleans, is about to go to prison for 20 to 30 years probably, another Mayors Against Guns guy. So he had to create these two new groups. So interesting. Mike, the problem, and I know you know what I'm talking about, the problem is, unfortunately, we've got some guys on our side, supposedly on our side, who wouldn't have to be paid to do something that stupid.
That's true. Also, one other comment. The deal about Target and asking people not to bring in their guns in Target, I understood what you said. But in this state of Texas, for a business to keep people out of, like a Target store, that doesn't sound...
You have to have the 30-06 sign, don't you?
Yes, they do, unless they're selling alcohol, and then it begins to bring in the Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission signs,
which
there's about 5 variations of them.
So if they don't put up a sign, if all they do is just make this public statement, they haven't banned guns at all.
That's true.
And that's the case. And they say, we're not putting up signs, and we're not going to ask you to leave if you bring your gun in. What they're doing is saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're just saying this to get these nut bars off of our case. We got to get these moms to leave us alone. So we're going to make the statement, but all you gun guys, we know you carry in here, and we know you're not a problem, so carry on.
Yes. And that sign has to be very exact as the state of Texas, which has pretty good uniformity in signs, has to be exactly as they state in certain sizes, 2 different languages.
Yep.
That stuff is the 30-06 says.
Exactly right. Let's appreciate the call, sir. Got to run here. 866-TALK-GUN, 866-TALK-GUN. Something on your mind? You want to talk about this situation? Would you carry into Target now that they've said, please don't bring your guns in there? Did you take it personally? Or did you look at it and say, yeah, I get what you guys are doing. I understand. You've been beaten up by this deal, and you're just trying to get these people off your back. What was your take, and what are you hearing? 866-TALK-GUN.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
Brownells proudly celebrates 75 years of history and heritage as the world's first choice for firearms, accessories, ammunition, and gunsmithing tools. So whether you're a gunsmith in need of parts and supplies, a new shooter looking for the perfect holster, or a skilled competitor seeking the latest gear, Brownells has what you need. And best of all, every purchase comes with the industry's only forever satisfaction guarantee. Visit us at Brownells.com.
There's a rise in home invasions in America, and you need to be ready. Ready to protect yourself and your family. The bedside backup from Crossbreed Holsters keeps your gun at your bedside, ready to go. It also folds flat for easy storage and travel. Take it with you and use with any hotel bed. To see more, go to crossbreedholsters.com. That's crossbreedholsters.com. The bedside backup is not a child safety device.
Have you ever held a Walther? Walther handguns are an extension of your hand. From the moment you hold the ergonomic grip of a Walther, you feel the difference. Today, Walther continues its long tradition of expertise in firearm design with the introduction of 3 incredible new handguns. The smooth PPQM2, the tough PPX, and the cool PPKS22. Log on now at WaltherArms.com. Walther at your favorite retailer.
A famous radio consultant once said he'd be off the air in a year. Whoops! Defending your Second Amendment rights since 1995 on over 150 radio stations nationwide. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
866-TALK-GUN. Interesting. Still in Chicago. Chicago has received a bill of nearly $1 million for its ultimately unsuccessful effort to keep guns out of the city. The Chicago Sun-Times, it continues, reports that a federal judge on Thursday approved a request by an attorney for one of the plaintiffs for $940,000 in legal fees and expenses. The only problem is, of course, Chicago doesn't pay that. The taxpayers pay that. Line 3, Chris is with us out of Utah. Hey, Chris, you're on Gun Talk.
Hello, I'd just like to comment on that. They have the question about the Nagant. There's a new stock on the market that makes that gun look super, space age. It's got a detachable magazine. It kind of looks like an AR-15 slider up on the, on the cheek rest on it. It's just something else. You can't tell it's a Nagant rifle once they put that on there. And then I was going to also recommend that he not modify if he's got a Remington or a Westinghouse, because they're pretty rare. The U.S. Westinghouse and Remington made millions of them, and they they're quite high grade. The highest grade I've seen is the Polish Radom Factory 11. They have the best finish, and it'll get most guns a run for their money in the blue department. They're really nice, really well done blue guns. And I've got one here it'll shoot inch groups at 100 yards, and all I've done to it is I fixed the action a little bit, send the front sight down, and I used a 204 grain soft point, and they're deadly accurate guns. So, if you can't get an inch and a half with your iron sights out of that gun, you need to do some modification to it. But if you want to put a scope on there, he should get a long eye relief and just, try to adapt that to that front, the back side on there instead of trying to turn down the bolt, and do that kind of stuff.
How long have you been into Nagant rifles?
Well, I probably had them 25 years.
Wow!
But I've got over a dozen of them. But I've got every one that Westinghouses. I got Remingtons, but the little Type 44s they are sure accurate. I couldn't believe how accurate they are. They'll outshoot most scope rifles if you thin the sight down, do that trigger job on. But they got a new trigger out for them now, and I think it's on triggers.com, and then that fancy stock you can get it at Cabela's. They just advertise it in their shooter's catalog.
Right.
And Brownells has got parts for them also, and there's two different kinds of composite stocks you can put on them. One's brown, one's black, and they have a lot of accessories for them. But they've got a new safety out for it now if you want to adapt that, and a new trigger. So there's no problem on that. It's just getting your ammo straightened out and what it shoots best with.
Good deal. All right, appreciate the info. That is good information. Thank you, sir. Let me go talk to Joe. He's in St. Louis on line 2. Joe, you got another solution for this rust issue?
Yes, sir, Tom. Buddy, do not put steel wool on a blue barrel. It's real simple. What you do is you get any kind of oil and an old penny, one that's still 100% copper, and a roll of paper towels. You put the oil where the rust is at. You take that penny because it has a rim and it's kind of like a rough edge. You put the oil on the barrel or whatever. You take the penny, rub it back and forth across the rust. You take your paper towels, and brother, you will be shocked how fast that rust disappears. It is amazing.
A regular old copper penny.
Yes, sir. And if you want something fancy, go to the store, and in the cleaning aisle, you can get those copper scrubbers for like a pan. But make sure it's copper.
Okay.
But the copper is harder than the rust. It's not nearly as hard as the blue. It'll lift that stuff off there in no time.
Now, I will say that I and a lot of other people have used 4.0, and we're talking about the very fine 4.0 steel wool with a lot of oil on it, and that's worked too.
That's still steel. You don't want to put any kind of a steel. Try it. Try the copper. And then you may think, nah, that guy's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. Or you may go, I'll be darned. It works.
Well, you know what? I will give it a try. I appreciate it, Joe. Thank you for the information there. All right, on one, Shane is with us out of Medford, Oregon. Hey, Shane, you're on.
Hey there. First-time caller, first-time listener. Great show.
Thank you.
My question is, I was wondering what they're replacing the Beretta M9 with in the military.
Are they replacing it?
Yeah, I read a couple of, things on Facebook that were talking about it, and I didn't get any information yet.
It's got to be true if it's on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. I figured it might be, though. It looked like a couple of, reliable sources inside Facebook, not actually Facebook replying or.
They've actually been trying for some years to go back to a 45.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they've had. What do they call it? Basically RFPs, if you will, but the military version of that request. It's one of the reasons that we ended up with, because they said it has to have an external thumb safety. So we've ended up with this collection of Springfield XDs and Smith & Wesson M&Ps in 45 with thumb safeties, where they never had them before. They weren't necessary. They weren't even needed, but they created all these things so they could put them into the trials for the military, for the 45. That started up, went backwards, started up again. That's kind of the history of these things. I honestly don't even know where it is right now. I kind of watched it for a couple of years and got bored. So I don't know what's going on with it at this point, but that's why we have in all these different lineups polymer, striker-fired 45s with an external thumb safety. Those were all created so they could apply for and try to get the military contract. Why? Because they said, we want a 45. Okay. The 9 works great if you can use good ammo. The problem is in the military, you can't. They got to use full metal jacket. And if you got to use full metal jacket, you better go with a big bullet because it can't expand. It's never going to get any better. That's why the 45 is so popular.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
Alrighty, I just looked it up. I'll give you the information about this military pistol in just a second, but I do want to have this story. In this week in New Jersey Governor Chris Christie vetoed a bill that would have reduced the magazine capacity in the state from 15 to 10 rounds. And he's being hailed as some kind of gun rights savior. He is not. At his core, Chris Christie is an anti-gun guy. Make no mistake about it. I don't care what he says or does. Whenever he's had a chance before, now that he's running for president, it's a whole different deal. But whenever he's had a chance before, he was strongly in favor of clamping down on gun rights. And I'm just about to say something here to the Republican Party. If you select Chris Christie as your guy, I'm out. I mean, I'm not a registered Republican, but I'm not voting for a Republican. I will, for the first time ever in my life, go third party. Because he is an anti-gunner. And he would support more gun control laws. So for those who are saying, oh, this is great, Chris Christie has vetoed a magazine capacity limit. No. Chris Christie just needed a chance to try to come back from some of his gun control efforts in the past. So it's going to happen more and more as we get closer to the election. I mean, this is a given. You know this is going to happen. All right. On this deal of the military looking to replace their 9mm, their Beretta, understand that under the Hague Convention, they have to use full metal jacket, non-expanding ammunition. The reason we can make 9s work so well for us in self-defense now is because we have really good ammo, expanding bullets that will expand and generate a lot of shock and tissue damage. Because ultimately it's tissue damage. It stops an attacker, stops a moose, stops a bear, stops whatever. If you have to use non-expanding bullets, then you better go with a bigger bullet to punch a bigger hole. And the 9mm full metal jacket is not a very good round. That's why it got such a bad reputation in the past, because people compared full metal jacket ammo and said, well, it doesn't stop, attackers very well. No. But then again, pistols don't stop attackers very well either. Now, the article I'm reading right now is in military.com, and it's saying that they're actually going to an open caliber process now, evaluating the .357 SIG, the .40 Smith & Wesson, and the .45 ACP. But I look at that and think, well, but if you have to use full metal jacket ammo or bullets, wouldn't you want the biggest bullet possible? I'm thinking that's probably where they're going to end up. But now they're having, this is interesting, now they're having to balance out. You have a different Army than you had in the past. You have a lot more women in the military. You have smaller hands. And whereas the M4 works great with small hands, not an issue, works just fine. Pistols, on the other hand, the Beretta is kind of a big fat grip. And that could be an issue for military officer or military personnel with small hands. That could be part of what's going on. I'd like to say, guys, you had it right in the first place. You had it right 100 years ago, the 1911, man. We got all these great 1911s out there. My chances are they're going to want more capacity, more ammo capacity, and they want a striker-fired gun. Okay, I get it. At the same time, a lot of the special forces units who can pick whatever they want, a lot of them are carrying 1911s. I don't know what they do if they're special forces, if they use the FMJs or if they kind of go off the reservation and use actually good, effective ammo. We're lucky that way, actually, when you think about it. We get to use effective ammo. That's why I always say, buy good ammo, good defensive ammo. It costs a lot, and the reason it costs a lot is because it's worth it, because you're taking care of yourself and your family. Even if your family's not with you, if you don't come home, that's bad. So when you protect yourself, you are, in fact, protecting your family. Think about it.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.